a veteran journalist, survived nearly 5 decades covering global unrest and reporting in war zones, only to unceremoniously perish in a luxury taxicab accident. Who's responsible? The family points their fingers at the driver, saying that he was unfit and reckless, but the company blames the victim. It was an abrupt end for a giant in the news business.
I'm Bob Simon.
I'm Kyle Ploof.
I'm Alejandro Dowling. This story and AI Andy Rooney tonight on Death in Entertainment.
Live from Los Angeles.
911, what is your emergency?
Here in Hollywood now.
2 counts of murder,
Injury and death.
Oh my God!
Shocking new details
That has stunned the entertainment world.
This makes me a little nervous.
The hair stood up on my arms.
Just like in the movies.
What do you call this thing anyway?
Death
In entertainment.
What is going on, Deado Universe?
Hi.
Welcome to another episode of Death in Entertainment.
It's good to have you here. Pull up a seat, grab a blanket, make a cup of hot cocoa.
Curl up next to the computer.
Okay, now it's getting a little creepy.
It is getting a little creepy. What's up, everybody? My name is Kyle Ploof. What's up, everybody? My name's Kyle Ploof.
Kyle, I think we're missing something.
I think we are.
Oh, boy. Well, I guess we just have to come right out with it.
Who are you?
I'm Alejandro Dowling.
Oh, okay, perfect.
I'm just not used to saying it without Mark.
Yes. If anybody doesn't know, if they didn't catch our live stream yesterday, Mark has left the building.
Just like Elvis did decades earlier.
Yes.
But he's still alive.
Yeah, he doesn't have 4 months of compacted shit. That's killing him right now.
Well, we don't know that.
Well, yeah, we don't know that for a fact, to be honest. But we do know that we're all on good terms. Mark had some other opportunities come up that he wants to seize the day and seize those opportunities. So he will not be with us going forward, which is very sad. We will miss him, but, the show must go on.
He's going Hollywood, and we're staying in North Hollywood.
Exactly. Those milky white thighs have taken flight, and we are still sitting with our asses in our chairs.
And Dipod is going nowhere.
It is going absolutely nowhere.
Or what I mean is, no, we are going somewhere.
Yes.
What I mean is, we're not leaving. The Dipod will remain.
Yes, exactly. It will remain, and we will discuss 60 Minutes' own Bob Simon today.
This is quite the story.
I guess it is. I mean, this isn't one that was well on my radar.
Nor anyone else's radar.
Which is good because it's a story that's going to probably be new to a lot of people, and I'm excited to take this ride. Are you at home?
Just please wear your seatbelt.
Yeah, put it on, strap in, and let's go.
So, Kyle.
Yes.
Who's your favorite 60 Minutes reporter?
I would have to go outside of Andy Rooney,
Right.
who will be on the show later. Mike Wallace.
Yeah, he was good.
He was great.
I'm an Ed Bradley guy. He knew how. He had it.
He really did it for you.
Speaking of Andy Rooney, I love when, I believe it was Peter Jennings. He had cancer and died in the mid-2000s.
Sure.
And first episode back after it happened, Andy Rooney talked about him at the end. And then he gave a laundry list of every giant in the media industry that went to Peter Jennings' funeral.
Oh, yeah?
And then Andy Rooney said, if terrorists dropped a bomb on the church that day, the entire news media would be wiped out.
It would crumble.
What a thought.
I mean, yeah, if you do anything that involves a lot of people from one industry, I guess you could wipe out the industry.
And we may have lost Mark.
Yeah.
But to take off the chill this week later on, AI Andy Rooney is here.
Yes, we have new things ready to go.
So please stay tuned for that.
Yes.
But let's get back to Bob Simon.
Let's get to it.
So he became a major correspondent for 60 Minutes later on in its run. But before we go there, let's go back to 1941.
Ooh.
I call it the war year
Mm.
because there was World War II.
Yeah.
He was born on May 29th, 1941. He grew up as a Jewish kid in Brooklyn.
I like to call him the Jewish kid from Brooklyn
That
because he was a Jewish kid from Brooklyn.
It's very apropos of nothing. And he graduated with a history degree from Brandeis University.
Ooh, good old Brandeis University.
Brandeis?
Yes.
I didn't emphasize the ice enough.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Speaking of ice, it's a little chilly in here.
Brandeis, Waltham, Massachusetts, 4-year nonprofit university.
So this is a big school, though, right? It's very prestigious.
Yes, in a very rich town.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's like your neck of the woods.
It sure
Harvard
is.
and all that.
Yeah, Waltham's a little bit southwestern of the city, and, it's a lot of well-to-do people out there. There was one point where Waltham or Wellesley was more expensive to live in than Beverly Hills at one point.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a price tag. Then.
Yeah.
So Bob Simon is one of those rare guys that put a history degree to good use.
Mm.
They say a history degree is as useless as an ejector seat on a helicopter.
Nice.
Is this thing on?
Straight through the blades. Hello.
A person with a 4-year degree in history walks into a bar. Then he heads behind the counter and starts serving drinks. In the mid-1960s, Bob Simon served as an American Foreign Service officer in France.
France.
You might be wondering what that kind of job entails. Well, it's a professional who aids U.S. citizens abroad. So if you're having trouble with your passport, you might go to the embassy and Bob Simon's there to help you through it.
Yeah.
Doesn't that sound like a very exciting job? Like, I'm an American Foreign Service officer.
Yeah, that sounds way too classy of a job for what it is.
Yeah. He was both a Fulbright and a Woodrow Wilson scholar.
Don't know what either of those are.
Not to be confused with a Wilson Fellow,
Hello.
nor a fellow named Wilson,
Hello.
as in the neighbor from Home Improvement. So these are all academic prizes you get.
Not me.
Like a cash prize.
Someone else.
For being smart.
Sure.
And then you keep on doing academic things.
I wasn't as much a smart feller as I was a fart smeller. Got him.
Wow.
We got him.
It only took 100 and change episodes and
Yeah.
you got me.
There we go.
So, Foreign Service Officer, there was actually a movie called Foreign Correspondent from 1940. It's a spy thriller directed by Alfred Hitchcock.
Ooh.
It's about an American reporter based in Britain who tries to expose enemy spies involved in a continent-wide conspiracy.
Wow.
You thought your job was exciting.
Continent wide.
Simon joined the CBS family in 1967. As a reporter, he covered protests on college campuses, urban riots, and political unrest, including the 1968 Democratic Convention. You remember this? This is where the Yippies staged a protest against the Vietnam War. And this is that whole Chicago 7 thing where they were acquitted of conspiracy. He's right there. These are the Woodstock years.
This is huge.
Yeah, this is like American history.
And he's only 26 years old at this point. That's crazy.
Oh, my God. When I was 26, I was not leading protests.
No. Or reporting on him.
No, I wasn't either.
Doing nothing. You weren't even in a Hitchcock thriller. The fuck are you doing?
So Bob Simon has said, if there's a big story, I want to be there. Apparently, I did not have that quote in my head when I was 26.
No. If there's a big story, I'll be anywhere else.
I'll be in the basement.
Yeah.
Eating Ben & Jerry's on my parents' recliner.
Just leave me out of it. The story's too big.
So Bob Simon soon found his calling as a war reporter, and he covered Vietnam until 1977. And was actually aboard one of the last helicopters out of Saigon.
Wow.
And that was not a good ending, that war.
No.
There was no winner.
Nor his relationship with Miss Saigon.
No. Hey, is that based on the Vietnam War?
Is that based on the town?
I always remembered hearing about Miss Saigon when I was a kid.
I don't even know what it is. To
It's
be
a
honest.
play.
Oh, okay.
Like that it would be playing, at the Appleton Community Theater.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's that?
Miss Saigon tells the story of Chris, an American male GI who falls in love with Kim, a young Vietnamese orphan who works at a bar, works as a bar girl and prostitute. Oh.
Thought this was a family play.
He fell in love with a hookah.
A hookah?
A hooker. When the city falls, the lovers
And he
are separated.
smoked her.
Ooh, boy. Yeah. Smoked her like some hookah. The lovers are separated, and Chris eventually returns to the U.S. Years later, Chris returns to Bangkok. And why did I say it like that? Chris returns to Bangkok with his American wife, Ellen. So there's a lot going on there.
Wow. I don't even know. There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
I don't know where to start with that.
I fell in love with this hooker. You got to meet her, Ellen. Wow.
Okay, well, we are going to have to see that.
Yeah. Hopefully Bob Simon didn't get mixed up like that.
No, he had a wife and kid later. But
Yeah. Well, so did Chris with Ellen.
Right.
And brought them back to go meet his hooker, Miss Saigon.
So maybe this is based on. Afterwards, after getting out of Vietnam, his focus became Israel. And by 1987, he became chief Middle East correspondent for CBS.
Wow.
There's a title right there.
Yeah, it's almost as good as American Foreign Services Officer.
It's almost as good as assistant manager at Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
He lived much of the time in Tel Aviv as he covered the Israeli-Palestinian conflict up close and personal, to quote the title of that Robert Redford movie,
There you go.
which was about a guy kind of like Bob Simon.
Oh.
So
There's a lot going on.
You want to hear a little bit about Bob Simon, what he was like out there in the field, as they say?
You want to hear about this?
Okay, so here's a bit of Bob Simon doing what he does best, and he pretty much sums up the entire conflict in very simple words.
This is Israel's most advanced position on the southern front.
There's news all the time, but the basic conflict between the Israelis and the Palestinians has been the same for decades. It's as simple as the conflict gets. Who owns this land? Who belongs here?
Yeah. I mean, not to fast forward, but what year did he die?
2015.
Oh, 2015. But this was probably covered when?
70s into the... This would have been the 1980s, though.
This is still happening literally this week.
I know.
It's insane.
I wonder if he would have went back to get involved in, war zone coverage these days. I doubt it. He would have been pretty old, but you never know.
High risk.
Yeah, you never lose that need to be part of the big story.
Yeah, so he was in Tel Aviv. He was also covering Iraq and stuff too, but he saw it all.
Mm-hmm.
He was there for conflict, actual buses blowing up and fighting back and forth.
The real Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Except without the fun meet and greets like John Lennon.
Except with the Dr. Peppers. Sorry to bust your Black Panther party.
And so...
It's not all sunshine and roses, I guess is what I'm saying.
No. In fact, in the 1980s, he witnessed a brutal beating. It was called the Intifada, which is a Palestinian uprising. So here's a clip about that.
Young rock-throwing Arabs were chased up a steep and rugged hill by Israeli soldiers.
We were there with a cameraman whose hobby was filming birds. So he had a camera with a very long lens. The Israelis had no idea that we were filming them. And the Israelis caught up with the Palestinian boys and just beat the hell out of them.
This seemed cold, deliberate, methodical. It went on for 40 minutes.
And that clip went viral. It was played all over the world.
Yeah.
Capturing it with a telephoto lens.
Wow.
So you're thinking, well, at least he's a safe distance from the action, right?
Yeah.
Well, not always. He was not afraid to interview killers.
Oh, wow.
And here he is interviewing Palestinian terrorists.
What I'm trying to decipher is what was going through your mind as you were stabbing Israeli women.
I believe that any occupied people have to defend themselves in any means, in any ways.
Do you feel guilty?
I'm guilty because a human being killed, and I was the reason.
It's a good reason to feel guilty.
Wow.
Tell it like it is.
Yeah, coming after her.
Yeah.
Good reason to feel guilty. You killed someone.
That's incredible to me that he was not, well, his fear didn't show.
Yeah.
And that he was able to talk to these people matter-of-factly.
I wonder what kind of security clearance the crew had, whether or not they were able to bring people to make sure that they didn't have weapons. It looked like they were in a prison there, so
yeah,
that seems somewhat safe. But you never know.
True.
Especially in other countries. Locked Up Abroad is one of the scariest shows ever because you can be killed by the prison guards and people who were there, and they have weapons and stuff. You never know.
Well, he didn't escape violence and torture, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Because in 1991, while covering the Gulf War, he became the story.
Oh, boy.
When Iraqi soldiers captured him and 3 other CBS News colleagues. They were imprisoned for 40 days. According to the LA Times, quote, on the 5th day of the Persian Gulf War, Simon and a CBS News crew broke away from the heavily controlled government pools of reporters and stepped across a deserted border line between Saudi Arabia and Iraqi-occupied Kuwait. Spotted by Iraqi soldiers in a Jeep, Simon, producer Peter Bluff, cameraman Roberto Alvarez, and soundman Juan Caldera were arrested. They were taken first to a Kuwaiti bunker and then to the infamous White Ship headquarters in Baghdad, where Saddam Hussein's political enemies have been tortured.
That's so terrifying. You're literally there with other dissidents who are reporting against this man. And they're not getting out.
No.
And he's very lucky he was only there for 40 days.
He says he made a big mistake to cross the border that day.
Yeah.
And that just speaks to his always wanting to be involved and get the story out, risking life and death to give you the news.
Yeah. There are even people who have gone like hiking in Kuwait and then crossed over. I believe Kuwait is attached to Iraq, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so people just unknowingly, they're walking through a trail full of these hills and they just step on the wrong side and they're instantly taken.
Yep.
Oof.
That's what happened here.
Oh.
I can't imagine what that feels like.
No. And they're probably wearing the press garb too, showing people like, hey, we're off limits. Like, you can't hurt us. And they still took them.
You can never be too safe.
No.
During their prison stay, they were interrogated and tortured, beaten with sticks and canes, and they were made to starve in solitary confinement. The men were finally released after then-Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev intervened after being pressured by U.S. officials.
Mr. Gorbachev.
He was a friend to the United States and to Mr. Ronald Reagan.
Take down this wall.
Do what's right.
Give me back my correspondence.
So that was incredible that it was only because of Gorbachev that he could be released.
I mean, that doesn't really come up in history books that often, that America actually went to bat with the Soviets to get our own guys back. And it took Gorbachev to get him back. That's crazy.
Because Simon believes that without his help, that he most certainly would have been killed there.
Wow. So we had to team up with the Russians to get our biggest newscasters back and Brittany Griner.
True. It's
over
still
some,
happening.
Over some weed pens.
Right. When it all comes down to it, it's all just stupid.
Yeah.
It's all stupid.
Yeah. Crazy.
And then here is him talking about that experience. He was interviewed the day after he was released. And this is your favorite 60 Minutes reporter, Mike Wallace.
Mike Wallace.
Yesterday, they were released in Baghdad. And this morning, they talked with Ed Bradley.
It's changed you? Yeah. How? I don't know. Too early to tell.
Brief, but to the point.
Yeah. I mean, they are so goddamn lucky. These people do not fuck around for the most part. I don't know if you remember the journalist Daniel Pearl.
Yes.
So Daniel Pearl was an American journalist who, after 9/11, was on his way to what he thought was going to be an interview with a Pakistani religious leader. And he was trying to research, Islamic militants and, terrorism and all that stuff. He was kidnapped at his hotel, and they tried to make him act like they would let him go if he read letters talking about how shitty the U.S. government is and blah, blah, blah. And they ended up cutting his head off. Yeah, it was one of the original beheading videos when we were in high school that got leaked.
I have not seen that to this day.
I did.
And I know that it went around.
Yeah, I saw the Nick Berg one. That was the original. And then Daniel Pearl was the second one. And then they just kept coming after 9/11. That's when we first started getting like high-speed internet, when cable came around.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you're going to watch the new beheading video?
Maybe I'm silly. I was watching Crank Yankers.
Yeah. I would have to watch it to recover from this shit.
So what was it like? They just cut the head off?
It's, yeah.
It looks fake?
Horrific. No, it looks very real and sounds very real.
Ay, ay, ay.
It is not good.
Okay, so I do not want to seek that out.
No, I would recommend anyone who's listening to me right now, do not go seek that out, because it will fuck with you forever. And I'm just using that as, you know, a case study that Bob Simon is very lucky to get away from people who were pretty much the same people.
Yeah, he's lucky he got to keep his head. He really got ahead of the terrorists.
That's right. I don't have anything. I don't have a sound effect for that.
That's okay. Not everything needs a sound effect.
No.
The news department in the United States created an obituary for Bob Simon.
Wow.
And listen to...
They had it ready to go?
Yeah.
Before they knew he was getting released?
Yep, written out. By his boss.
Did they release it before he got released?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
That was just like the backup plan.
There's some integrity in journalism.
At this point in American media, there was some integrity.
You have to confirm a death before you can release the obit.
Now there's none.
But listen to this. His boss says, here you go, Bob. Here it is. He says he waited months and then finally read it, and that it was a surreal feeling.
Imagine reading your own obituary.
I can't.
Actually, it kind of happened to me.
Really?
Yeah, I went, Facebook had like this weird bug for like 30% of its users, and it told everybody that their friend on Facebook died, and I was one of the people that everyone said, you know, Kyle died. And people were leaving messages on my wall being like, I hope this isn't true. I love you. I miss you. Blah, blah, blah. Like all this weird shit that I would have never seen in my life. And it totally freaked me the fuck out. This is in like probably 2013 or 14.
Yeah.
That is surreal to see.
I wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
Because usually it's true.
Yeah.
You get that weird feeling when you see, oh, I'll always remember you. I love you. You're like, wait a minute. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I went on and I was like, tell me what you love about me while I'm alive, you fucks.
Yeah, exactly. You're great, Kyle.
Thank you. You are too.
You're a stand-up individual.
That's right, but I'm sitting down.
Like any true journalist, Bob Simon dealt with the trauma by writing about it. He published a book about the harrowing ordeal in 1992 called 40 Days. And he wrote that it was the most searing experience of his life.
Yeah.
Some people were giving him crap that, why write a book when you were only in prison for 40 days?
Oh, fuck
when
you.
some people are there for years, like John McCain, you know.
Fuck off. It doesn't mean that your story's
like
not worthy of telling.
My terrorist captor was bigger than yours.
Yeah, what the hell are they talking about?
I'm just reporting here.
Wow. So is Bob. Let him report. Fuck those people.
So here's a quote from him again. I was haunted by the idea that they'd decide to kill us one day and never tell anyone. That Francois and Tanya, his wife and daughter, would never know what happened. The way that the families of people missing in action in Vietnam live in a haunted world. End quote. That is so disturbing to me. The idea that you could die and your family wouldn't even know. They would never even get that confirmation that you died.
Yeah, they would just have to accept it.
Which does sadly happen quite a bit.
Yeah.
Especially in the fog of war.
Oof.
Or even in 9/11, how many families just had to accept it after a while when there was no physical proof.
Yeah, that's got to be awful.
Bob Simon later criticized coverage of the war, noting that ever since Vietnam, the American media and military were determined to control the narrative and sanitize images of the war zone.
Yeah.
Happy shots of helicopters taking off, no bloodshed, no beheadings.
Yeah, Rolling Stones playing over war footage. Like, oh, it's happy. It's fucking apocalypse now. It's all good. Everything's fine.
It's just a shot away.
Yeah, exactly. Make it look cool, man.
And this is from a guy that has seen it all.
Exactly.
So that's a very informed perspective right there. You and I could say that, but we haven't seen that stuff. He has seen the real horror.
Yeah.
I think that's a valid criticism. That's what was going on with Bush and Iraq.
But of course they were doing it because they want to make it look better than it is, A, to save their own asses from any potential bad stories that are coming out, and B, let people want to join even more and do it all again.
To sell the war, to get recruitment up for the army, to get more oil ultimately. That's what it's all about. Money and oil.
Resources.
Or as he reminded us about the Israeli-Palestine conflict, it's about power.
Yeah.
Whose land is this? Who controls it?
Mm-hmm.
So Bob Simon returned to Tel Aviv after that whole ordeal when the Gulf War ended, and he continued to cover the Middle East for CBS. In fact, he became very famous in that region. Locals would affectionately refer to him as Bub. Oh, there's Bub.
Bub.
He rode a motorcycle around town.
In the Middle East?
Tel Aviv.
Or Tel Aviv, yeah.
He would get discounts at restaurants, you know.
Anything for Bob.
Yeah. So he was very famous there. He says more famous than he ever was in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
That he was a household name in Israel.
Crazy.
He began riding a motorcycle again years later after turning 70. And he took a trip from East Hampton to Maine and back in a single day in the summer of 2013. So he's just constantly looking for the juice, I think.
Yeah.
He can't sit still.
The action is the juice.
It is.
Yep.
Heat.
Exactly.
And this mic is hot right now.
The Middle East is hot. Ooh.
Got some beheadings.
Yeah. You got some big sand.
But nothing grows in this shit.
Sam Kinison.
Pacino just morphed into Sam Kinison. Over the course of his illustrious career, Bob Simon won 27 Emmys. Count them.
Wow, 27 Club.
Including one for Lifetime Achievement. And he was awarded 4 Peabodys, the most ever for a field reporter.
Wow.
It's hard enough to get 1 Peabody.
Knew how to play the field.
He did, yeah.
In Saigon.
In 2000. Wait, are you accusing him
of falling in love with a Vietnamese hooker and then having a new family and going back to introduce said family to said hooker?
Yes.
Maybe.
Okay. It's not proven.
Yeah.
In 2005, this is when he joined the main cast of 60 Minutes and became a popular correspondent, reaching a whole new audience. His stories ranged from political to human interest to entertainment. Everything from visiting an ancient Holy Land to an interview with actor Mandy Patinkin.
Nice. Mandy Patinkin, huge on Instagram right now.
That's right.
And TikTok.
He's got a thing going on social media.
Oh, big time, yeah.
So what's a typical post? He says, like, what he's having for breakfast?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm Mandy Patinkin.
Enjoy this coffee.
I could use some coffee.
Yep.
On Sunday, February 8th, 2015, the 60 Minutes broadcast ended with Simon's profile of director Ava DuVernay and her movie Selma, about MLK's epic civil rights march in Alabama in 1965. Bob Simon was at the top of his craft, and he's getting those plum stories there.
And that says a lot.
Yeah.
2015, he's gone through everything.
Mm-hmm.
Middle East to Vietnam. He was born during the war.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Has seen it all.
The war year.
Yeah.
No, but it's true. This is like the dessert now. I mean, talk about putting in the 10,000 hours as
real.
a journalist.
Yeah, you put in 10,000 hours as a prisoner.
Talk about paying his dues. Like seconds from decapitation in an Iraqi prison. And now he gets to talk to Mandy Patinkin.
Yeah, that is the life.
I don't know.
Imagine if he was like, I wish my head was cut off.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mandy's talking again.
I don't know which one's more intense, actually. Because remember, he had all that trouble on the set of Criminal Minds.
Mandy Patinkin?
Yeah, they hated him. And then he got written off the show because of his ego.
Oh, wow.
Well, he's a madman.
Yeah, I thought
I love the guy. I mean, he was great on Homeland.
Yeah.
And apparently he's great on TikTok.
Yeah, Mandy, I wish I was back in Iraq right now. Getting beaten by canes.
And his daughter, Tanya, followed in his journalistic footsteps and became a producer for 60 Minutes.
Oh, wow.
So that's very cool. He was very proud of her.
That's awesome.
Together, they were busy working on a segment for the next week's show, a story about a new drug that could combat the deadly Ebola virus. That Wednesday, February 11th, 2015, Simon was in a great mood, putting the finishing touches on the report with Tanya by his side at the 60 Minutes headquarters in Midtown Manhattan. Also working in the office was fellow correspondent Steve Croft. Croft recalls casually saying goodbye to Simon, who was heading out a little earlier that evening to attend a medical seminar downtown. Other coworkers remember him leaving with a huge smile on his face. So that's nice, right?
Yeah.
Got the story done with his daughter. And this guy can't stop moving. Now he's going to a medical conference.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
Medical conference sounds so, like, general.
Yeah, like I finished the story like I'm going to Applebee's.
Yeah.
Simon ordered a livery cab from Skyline Credit Ride to get to the event. And can you help me out here, Kyle?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm from Wisconsin. A livery cab? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, my uncle used to own a livery service.
So what's the difference between that and a regular taxi? From what I've gathered is that the livery service you schedule ahead of time.
Yeah. So the difference between an Uber X and a Uber XL is pretty much the difference between a cab and a livery service. So, like, if you're getting a livery service, you're getting a nicer car. You're probably getting a Suburban or a limo. And
in this case, a black luxury Lincoln Town Car.
Exactly. This is precisely what liveries, that's like the most hack version of a livery service. The
most
Town
obvious?
Car. Yeah. Yeah, it could be even like a party bus or something like that.
So also just one that's on a schedule.
Yes.
Like that it just it'll be there no matter what.
Not necessarily.
Like a shuttle to the casino.
Sure. Yeah. That will be done by a livery company. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I only know that because my uncle had it for a few years, and we got rides in his livery mobile. He had a limo, and he drove us to prom.
Really?
Yes.
So you made that happen?
Yeah.
You must have been the hero in your friend group.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I got the limo. My uncle drove it, and then he ratted on us to my parents about us talking about sex in the back after the prom.
Oh, that is so heinous.
I'm like, why the fuck would you rat on us talking about what people do after prom to my parents?
Oh, my God.
I mean, my dad didn't care. My mom was like, that's disgusting. Mind you, my mom was pregnant at the prom, so...
Oh, wow. Yeah, what kind of sick teenagers talk about sex on the night of the prom?
You don't talk about it, you do it.
Only literally every teenager that's ever gone to the prom.
Ever.
There's movies about this.
Yes, Porky's being one.
Porky's and American Pie.
Yeah, it's a coming-of-age thing.
It is.
And a coming thing.
Oh.
Hello.
Okay.
If you're the guy.
Yeah. I won't ask if you were coming or going that night.
Both.
Some things need to be left as a mystery.
Sure.
Let's get back to this story.
Back to business.
So Bob Simon ordered a black luxury Lincoln Town Car from this livery service, Skyline Credit Ride.
Mm-hmm.
Expensive.
Yeah, not cheap.
Nice, but he's earned it because
of course, he's got money coming out of his ears.
Yeah. Driver Rashad Abdul Fidahi picked up Simon in the town car, and Simon got in the back seat. And so, they're just traveling along southbound in the left lane on 12th Avenue in Manhattan's west side.
Yep.
The ride started out uneventful. It was like any other of the hundreds of rides Simon had taken in the past.
Yeah.
They were cruising along just slightly above the 35-mile speed limit. But that was about to change.
I don't like that.
At around 6:45 p.m., the town car suddenly accelerated and struck the side of a non-moving Mercedes-Benz that was stopped at a red light in the center lane on West 30th Street.
Oh, my God.
The impact caused the town car to careen through the stoplight and slam into metal barriers separating the north and southbound lanes of traffic. Do you want to see what this looked like?
Yeah, I'm picturing the exact place.
Yeah, because we have here a recreation. You know this area?
Yeah, very well.
Okay, so if you look at this video, this shows the recreation. You see him there in the back seat. They're driving along. Not even going that fast, really. Then the red light and driving again. And then suddenly accelerates, clips that Mercedes, runs into the barrier. And there's Bob Simon in the back seat.
And he passed immediately?
We're not sure. Simon suffered severe head and neck injuries, including a massive head wound. Reports say he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Rescue workers cut open the roof and pulled him out through the top of the car. He was going through cardiac arrest as he was transported to St. Luke's Hospital. Unfortunately, there was little anybody could do to save him. Simon was pronounced dead on arrival. He was 73 years old.
Oh my God.
So I hope it was fast, but it sounds like he was really suffering until he got to the hospital.
Jesus.
Yeah. And then here, this is the actual footage of the aftermath, and it's insane.
Yeah, this is crazy. This is right on the river. The Hudson River. So 12th Ave and Riverside, they're right on the outside of Manhattan.
Look at that wreckage. The door flew off. I mean, they had to pull that up, but still, it was completely smashed.
I'm still just so confused.
And for nothing, it was totally out of nowhere that he accelerated like that.
So what happened to the driver?
Oh, we're getting to that.
Okay, because I'm so confused that all of a sudden, 35 miles an hour, they're going down Riverside, which if you're in Manhattan, on that street, 35 is not very fast at all.
No.
But in most parts of New York City, like if you're going down 6th Avenue, whatever, 35 miles an hour is like warp speed because everybody's so close together and it's so congested.
That's like here in LA. If you can go 35 on the 405,
yeah,
it feels like you're in the movie Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
Because usually you're in a parking lot.
Yeah. So this, to me, everything is a little bit more spread out on 12th Ave and Riverside. It doesn't seem like the place where you would just get out of control and miss where the barriers are.
No.
So I am very intrigued about what you're going to tell me what else came from this. We'll finish watching this footage here.
Yeah. There's really not much to see here except just that it's...
Just carnage?
Yeah, that it looks like it was like the worst accident you've ever seen.
Yeah.
The car doesn't even resemble a car anymore.
Yeah.
Besides the tire.
That is... I mean, this is like Princess Diana shit.
Mm-hmm. Except they weren't being chased by anybody.
No, they're just literally going to a conference from work. This should be very uneventful.
Routine.
Yeah. This is really... I'm confused.
Bob Simon's daughter, Tanya, was still at the office with Steve Croft when the call came in. Croft told People magazine the next day that Tanya had been very brave. Quote, "She was composed, but definitely in some state of shock. In some ways, I think she was happy to be here last night because there were so many supportive people."
Yeah, I mean, that makes a huge difference when
and
you get
she's
bad news like that.
Right. She's at the 60 Minutes office working on that story, hearing about it, and then right there are all the colleagues. Adding to the tragedy, Tanya was pregnant with her second child at the time.
Oh, my God.
A grandson that Bob Simon would never get to meet. 60 Minutes executive producer Jeff Fager called Simon a reporter's reporter. Quote, "It's a terrible loss for all of us at CBS News. It is such a tragedy, made worse because we lost him in a car accident. A man who has escaped more difficult situations than almost any journalist in modern times." End quote.
Seriously, it's like you go through so much in life just for something like this to happen. I was actually talking to some friends when I lived in New York City years ago. There was this man, I think he was in his 80s, and he was just waiting for a train.
Mm-hmm.
And this crazy drug-fueled, I believe, homeless person just shoved him in front of a train, and he died.
Oh, I heard about that.
And I was talking, I'm like, dude, you make it through the Great Depression, you go to war, you get out, you get a wife, you start a family, you get through everything in your life, all for some asshole at 80-something years old to just shove you in front of a train. You've already made it through all the hard parts.
Yeah.
Like, this is so senseless.
Yeah.
It makes no goddamn sense.
This guy was in an Iraqi prison.
Yeah. Getting beaten, being like, I'm never going to see my family again. Gets out, is now at the pinnacle of his career, working for one of the most famous institutions in news media in America and in the world, and just taking a routine cab ride.
But a luxury cab ride.
A luxury cab
This
ride.
is part of the dessert.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
enjoying the fruits of his labor.
Yeah, you can afford a nice little Lincoln Town car to go from one spot to another.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Did they say he was going to the Javits Center? Was that the
I don't
medical
think
conference?
so. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But it was
because that's on the west side.
Okay. Is that the big thing downtown where they have those kind of events?
It's the Javits Center. It's not downtown. It's all the way on the west side, but it is the south of Manhattan.
I had to do a lot of
side.
digging even to find out that he was on his way to a medical conference.
Yeah, that's where they have like Comic-Con and stuff at the Javits Center.
Okay, must have
Tons
been
of
that,
conferences, yeah.
Because most people reported that he just had some kind of generic appointment. But this is what you get on Death and Entertainment. I go a little above and beyond.
Get a little bit down dirty.
I asked the tough questions.
Was it a medical conference?
Well, those details are important to me.
Yeah.
Because, why was he leaving the office that day without his daughter? Like they were all kind of sticking around. So I knew it had to be something.
Yeah.
That, had to do with probably a story he was going to be working on or something.
Yeah.
Speaking of, his final completed story on ZMAP, a promising new anti-Ebola drug, aired the following Sunday, February 15th, 2015. And I have a little snippet of that. And this is what he just finished that day.
ZMAP isn't easy to produce. It takes 6 weeks. The tobacco plants first have to be grown for 24 days. Then they're immersed in a liquid containing a gene that tells them to make special antibodies which help the immune system fight viruses, in this case, Ebola.
There you go.
Wow, so they have to take it from tobacco plants?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta know, Philip Morris was like, let's go, we'll sell you some drugs.
They get into that later in the interview where he's saying it's odd. Usually tobacco has a negative connotation.
Yeah.
And in this case, it could lead to a life-saving drug.
Wow.
Just one of the ironies of life.
Yeah.
Simon also left behind one more unfinished story about a mystical distillery known as Whiskey Island off the coast of Scotland. The segment was pulled together and completed by his colleagues with a lot of love as a tribute to him and aired on May 3rd, 2015. And here I have a clip of him from that story. It's his last call, as they say.
Cheers, Bob. Hope you've enjoyed this little visit here.
You're speaking in the past. It's not over.
Yeah, I'm going to get you out of here, man. This is it's costing me a fortune.
That's great.
I love those clips because it really shows the range. He was having a good time, and he was a great reporter.
Right.
He has that 60 minutes thing going.
Yeah, it just lets you know that the people who've gone through the most shit are usually the coolest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, man, he just wanted to have a good time and work on the stuff he knew meant a lot to him and meant a lot to others.
Right. They gave a nice tribute to him over at CBS this morning, but I don't know why I'm sharing this clip. Just, if you listen to it, I think that Gayle King kind of makes it about herself a little too much.
Oh, boy.
And this is in the days when Charlie Rose was still there.
Oh, God. Oh, good old Touchy Rose.
Yeah, before his pants were pulled down. So
during.
Before he was the big reveal.
Yeah.
That he was a creeper.
You can use the tools of your own intelligence and your heart. You can use the tools of your own intelligence and your heart to remind us of what the human spirit can be, because he could touch it with those stories of elephants and symphonies. But
Charlie
also
can touch it.
And I can touch my balls.
You could touch it.
Stories of life and death.
And he had such a quick sense of humor. I certainly didn't know him very well, but we were leaving a luncheon last month, and we were both leaving at the same time, and my car was there, and I said, would you like a ride? He said, sure, and he got in. He said, kid, I got to tell you, I was flattered that he called me kid, number one. But he said, I've been watching what you guys do in the morning, and I really like what I see.
Don't you love that? She's talking about a veteran newsman that passed away.
Yeah.
And her big anecdote is he ran up to me and said, I love you. You're great.
I love the R. Kelly stuff. They're lying on me.
So there you go. It sends shockwaves through the industry, his death.
Yeah, that's brutal.
And now let's answer some of your questions there, Kyle.
Many questions I have.
Because you're wondering about this driver and why did he accelerate like that?
Oh, man, don't even tell me.
The driver of the town car, Abdul Fidahi, sustained non-fatal injuries, including 2 broken legs and a broken arm. The driver of the Mercedes was left uninjured, a young kid like 21 years old. There were no working cameras at the location.
How? This is New York City in 2015.
That's what Jussie Smollett said.
Wow. Aren't you that guy from whatever fucking show, Power?
A preliminary investigation determined that, quote, speed may have been a factor.
You think?
No skid marks were found on site.
Except in his pants.
You beat me to it. I was going to say, neither on the road nor in his pants.
Yeah. Oh, there were definitely some in everybody's pants.
Suggesting that the brakes were not used.
Wow.
The driver, they think he grazed the Mercedes and then accidentally hit the gas pedal when trying to swerve away. Both drivers tested negative for alcohol.
Wow.
But listen to this. Prior to the accident, driver Fidahi had a valid taxi license, but had 2 previous traffic violations and 9 license suspensions that were eventually cleared.
Cleared. Yeah, good.
The city's Taxi and Limousine Commission issued a probationary license to drive a for-hire vehicle in New York City the previous October. So they're like, we don't care about all your history.
9 times! Jeffrey Jones there.
Yeah. Another shocking detail to emerge is that in 2004, Fidahi tried to kill himself after the dissolution of his marriage. He jumped out a window and fell 4 stories, which left him with a dead right arm. It just killed his arm, but not him.
Wow.
That means that he would have been driving with only 1 working arm the night of the crash. Fidahi's cousin, Ralph Sharif, told the New York Daily News that he spoke with him while in recovery at Bellevue Hospital. He said that Fidahi complained about a sharp pain in his chest in the moments leading up to the wreck, and that he remembered coming very slowly to the light and then all of a sudden just blacked out. After that, he claims he didn't know what happened. His cousin Sharif added that apparently Simon had been a regular customer and that Fidahi had driven him multiple times before that.
Wow.
And that Fidahi had tears in his eyes when talking about Mr. Simon. This according to his cousin.
Wow.
Authorities, however, called BS on that claim that Fidahi had a heart attack and said it was simply reckless driving.
Yeah.
And then here's another shocker. Are you buckled up?
I hope so.
A co-worker of Fidahi told the New York Post that they were so concerned about Fidahi's erratic driving that they warned superiors to fire him.
Oh, they were dropping a dime on him.
Just 2 days before the crash.
Yeah.
And that this guy also pointed out several customer complaints to management about Fidahi. Quote, management said they'll check with the lawyers, and they said if he has a valid license, he can work. And then this happened. End quote.
Wow.
Fadahi ended up trying to sue Zachary Miller, the driver of the Mercedes,
The one he hit?
for causing the accident.
Yeah, good.
But the case went nowhere when he refused to turn up old medical records that had details about his suicide attempt. Simon's widow filed a wrongful death suit against Fadahi and the company who employed him, Skyline Credit Ride. She said that her husband suffered conscious pain and fear of impending death before he finally died at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Skyline denied the claims and then turned it around on Simon, blaming the victim for not wearing a seatbelt. How do you feel about that?
Seatbelt doesn't stop heart attacks, pal.
Well, it doesn't stop a driver that's going to ride into a barrier.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have had a shot with the seatbelt on either.
I think the seatbelt thing is such bullshit because there are no seatbelts on buses.
Mm-hmm.
So what now? Not every vehicle that's moving through the city has the same opportunity to buckle up. Motorcycles don't have them.
True.
So what are we talking about? Fuck the seatbelt rule. I don't care. It's unnecessary. It doesn't mean anything to me.
The lawsuit between Simon's widow and Skyline Credit Ride was settled in 2017 for an undisclosed sum.
Yeah.
As of 2024, no criminal charges have ever been brought against driver Fadahi, although the Simon family does hold him responsible as well and hopes to see justice someday.
Wow.
But I doubt that's coming because there's not much about this story since 2017. Tanya Simon, his daughter, was named executive editor of 60 Minutes in 2019.
Wow.
And has remained in that position ever since. Writing about her dad in The Hollywood Reporter, she recalled working on their final 60 Minutes piece together. Quote, "We wrote the script in my apartment one January day during a snowstorm, taking the occasional break to go sledding with my 3-year-old son. On Wednesday, February 11th, with one paragraph left to tweak, my dad left for an appointment. He said he'd be back soon to wrap things up. He said goodbye and walked out the door. But that night, he never came back." End quote.
Jeez.
R.I.P. Bob Simon.
Yeah, big time.
What a story. I mean, I remember hearing about this at the time, and I was like, what? He was in a luxury cab? Because I was a fan of his. I watched 60 Minutes every Sunday.
I was living there at the time. I don't remember this story, to be honest.
I couldn't believe that something so random like that could happen to this guy that's on TV every week, this charming journalist.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember him by face, actually. I wasn't sure if I was going to know him, but yeah, I do remember Bob Simon. And I mean, geez.
Yeah.
Like I said, the same thing with the guy who got pushed in front of the train. It's like you live your whole life. You've gone through so much, and it's just some dumb guy who can't drive. I mean, I don't want to throw a conspiracy wrench in here.
But you're going to.
I'm trying to look up the last name Fadahi and where its origins are from. Could it be possible he might be a Middle Eastern man that knows about his past and wanted to seal the deal?
Oh, boy.
Has anybody said it?
You just did.
I just did. I'm just throwing it out there.
Gayle King also said that.
Did she?
No.
She
she just talked about herself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
He looks in the rearview mirror. Remember me, motherfucker?
Yeah,
and then
for
goes
real.
into the barrier.
That was my thought when I saw the name Fadahi come up, and I was like, "Oh no, is he going to be tied to like this crazy group of people that, these extremists that kidnapped him and beat him for 40 days and 40 nights?"
Wow.
I hope not, but there should be some investigation done.
This is the slowest investigation, and they never brought the driver to justice.
Yeah. And let me be clear. Okay.
You love everybody.
A huge proponent of mental health. I feel for anyone that's been suicidal in their life. But
when you jump out a window 4 stories, you can hit somebody below.
Yeah, no.
That's a narcissist.
What drives me crazy, and I'm not saying this is the case, but if this is the case.
When they survive, is that what you're going to say?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, surviving's good. If you survive your attempt, that's okay. It doesn't mean you're a pussy. It doesn't mean,
Even if you go and drive livery cabs with one arm?
Yeah.
Sounds like a David Lynch movie.
Yeah, for real. He found like the one occupation that he should not be doing. Well, one of many, I guess. But like I said, huge proponent of mental health. I feel for anybody that's been so depressed in their life they feel like they should not be around anymore. Especially with someone who went through a divorce. I feel for him in that regard.
Right.
But where I have no sympathy whatsoever, and I'm not saying this is the case, but it's certainly in the realm of possibility that this is the case, that he might have had another bad day and wanted to end it all. And instead of taking himself out, he drove as fast as he possibly could and tried to do it that way with someone else in the car. That's been known to happen.
Yeah, you talked about it on the last episode.
Yeah.
One of the guys definitely did that.
Yeah.
Tried to kill himself.
McSkillet. Yeah.
And ended up killing someone else.
Yeah. And there's been numerous amounts of occasions where people, don't want to commit suicide certain ways. So they drive as fast as they can at another car that's driving as fast as they are towards them. And they know it'll be over in an instant. So I say that to say this. If you're going to kill yourself, kill just yourself and don't try to take people with you. I have no sympathy for that.
So you're okay with the jumping out for stories?
I mean, if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. If I don't want anyone to do that, but if it's between that and driving in your car as fast as you can to kill somebody else with you, option A.
Then people have to clean you up if you don't land on somebody.
That's
witness.
fine. Yeah, you're just keeping the economy going at that point.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. No, like I said, I don't take it lightly at all. And,
no.
But column A, column B could be the case. I hope it's not, but if it is, no sympathy whatsoever. And he should be held accountable if that's the case.
Yeah, well, the family certainly thinks so.
Yeah, but then again, it's also possible that he could have had some sort of medical event. Macho Man Randy Savage, future episode, he died while he was driving on a highway, I believe in Florida. He had a heart attack and drove into a tree. And it's just something you black out and you accelerate. Your foot does go all the way down to the pedal. So I'm just exploring all options here.
The cops, though, they said they didn't believe that.
Yeah.
They must have more information on that.
Maybe. And then medical records, too. Like if you have a heart attack, I believe it's either your potassium is either way up or way down. And it's very obvious through a blood test if you've had a heart attack or not.
Wow.
So they probably have his medical records and we're like, wait, what? But then if that's the case, then why not prosecute?
Clearly there was not enough evidence.
Yeah, I guess that's the case.
And then this story just kind of went away. Everyone besides the family seemed satisfied because 60 Minutes never did an investigative piece on this driver or this situation.
Wouldn't that be some shit?
They just did a nice tribute and moved on.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, what can you do? They're not much of a hard-hitting investigative journalism in that way, I guess.
No.
Where they're trying to fucking really nail someone for something.
For their own kind.
Yeah.
Their own man.
Yeah. You need like local fucking Susie Says type investigative reporter.
We need Gail King out there.
Yeah, get the kid out there.
Lying on me.
They're lying on me.
She knows how to handle tough people. Who would you rather get yelled at? A Palestinian terrorist or R. Kelly?
Yeah. Bring on the piss. Yeah, so R.I.P. Bob Simon. That's crazy if Fadahi's still in New York, too.
Is he?
I don't know.
Oh.
I'm saying if he stayed in New York. Yeah.
Or if he's still a livery cab driver.
We can't find that out? He wasn't on LinkedIn?
No. He didn't accept my Facebook friend request.
Yeah.
And now it's time for...
Final thoughts.
I think I really went over all my final thoughts. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. You made actually a lot of interesting points. I did not even think of that conspiracy.
The Fadahi connection?
Yeah, I really didn't. That is so brilliant in some ways.
I mean, it could be...
And horrible.
The biggest twist of twists. Yeah. M. Night Shyamalan level twist there.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, big one.
I can't get over the fact that to survive that entire career and then die in that way.
Yeah. It's just such a real life story because with all those, situations taken into account, I need to know more information to be able to know if I should be feeling bad for this guy or like vilifying this guy. But
the
that's
driver.
life. You don't always get all the information, and it's a gray area.
That's what this story was. It started out as really not much.
Yeah.
But then the more I was digging, it started to get really interesting.
Yeah.
Yet there's still unanswered questions.
So many. Supposedly, I mean, he could have answered them by saying, you know, I really had a medical emergency, and that's that.
Yeah, I guess we'll never know. Do we want to talk to AI Andy Rooney?
Yeah. That's the final segment of 60 Minutes anyway. Andy
Yeah.
Rooney.
We did promise that at the top.
We did.
So should we bring him on?
Let's bring him right on.
Okay, let's see.
We're ready for you, Andy.
AI Andy Rooney here. Are you a fan of this podcast, first off?
I don't use foul language, and I don't like to hear anyone else use it either.
Ah, shit.
I don't think we were that bad today.
Today we were actually holding back a little bit.
What do you think of Mark leaving the show?
Nothing seems funny this week.
Oh, well, thanks, I guess.
Wow, dig right at us.
I mean, that's Andy Rooney.
You know?
AI Andy Rooney.
Sticks in his crop.
Yeah, he really tells it like it is.
Yeah.
You know something I don't like? Chocolate chip cookie.
Wow.
Whoa.
That is a hard stance.
I've heard of controversial statements.
Yeah.
Like Kyle's conspiracy theory earlier. But that actually takes the cake.
Yeah.
Wow. And so what do you think of these rogue livery cab drivers?
I could kill the bastards.
Oh,
holy shit.
Tell us how you really feel.
AI Andy Rooney.
God.
Good Lord.
This mic is smoking. Woo. And what about Bob Simon, though? What are your final thoughts on that story?
That's what's wrong with what's going on in Washington.
Wow.
In New York, actually, but I think I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
maddening.
President Obama should have stepped in.
That's right.
What do you think of our future here?
It may be wrong to suggest impending doom, but if doom isn't impending, it's out there somewhere.
Oh, AI Andy Rooney.
You really just...
You scoundrel.
You're a curmudgeon.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to leave you. Maybe we'll bring you back sometime. Any parting words?
I don't say this often, but thank you.
Wow.
Wow. You know what? And you look great for being 130.
AI Andy
Thank
Rooney.
you.
Oh, thank you, Andy. We love you, Andy. What a way to go out.
And I thought, now that he just left,
Yeah.
I thought, let's listen to the real Andy Rooney. This is a classic clip here from the Ali G show.
Oh, God.
Yo, check it. I is here with none other than my main man, Andy Rooney. Total respect. And today we is chatting about the media. Does you think the media has changed since you first got in it?
Does you think the media has changed? Do you think the media has changed?
Whatever. Does...
No, it's English. The English language would say, do you think the media has changed? Not does you think the media has changed. Yes, I think the media has changed.
Yo, for real.
Okay,
So,
I think that's about it. I can't waste my time.
is it because I was black?
You're black?
For real.
Huh? Who's black?
Who's black?
eyes.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's one of my favorite clips ever.
Who's black? Dun, dun, dun. That's
And then
hilarious.
Ali G calls him a racialist.
Yeah, you's a racialist. Wow.
I don't know who I like more, the real Andy Rooney or AI Andy Rooney.
And AI Andy Rooney knows what's up.
All right, Kyle, do we have anything in the mailbag?
Mailbag.
You've got mail.
Yes, mailbag to end the show. Carly Newber on February 1st, 2024 wrote us a very nice review on iTunes. Thank you so much. It says, love this pod, love the show. Always makes me laugh and love you guys. Insight, opinions, and stories.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. G.I. Jake on YouTube, they said to us, yes, finally, you guys need to stay on your game. This channel can blow up if y'all stay consistent, and we will try.
Absolutely.
Demonico, 2 weeks ago, said, love you guys. You have a natural way of riffing with each other. I've listened to plenty of podcasts, and I can tell when the hosts are playing it up. Not the case here. It feels genuine, and the jokes flow organically. Peace.
Well, thank you very much.
That's very nice. Thank you so much. And yeah, and what was it? Ruby on YouTube said that they think we'll get 100,000 subs by the end of the year. So
Whoa,
let's
Ruby.
go. Get on our YouTube, people.
Join the revolution.
Yes.
Dipod forever, baby.
Yes, Dipod forever. Go to our patreon.com/death and entertainment. Get all of our amazing extra content that you haven't seen or heard of.
Yeah, and we actually are working very hard lately. We have a lot of awesome things coming down the pike, and we want you to take this ride with us. Not in a livery cab.
Yeah. But we are going to hit the gas and go full speed ahead.
We are. And so we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
We're going to be right here every week with more true crime and comedy stories.
Yes, lots of Patreon stuff, lots of regular episodes. The Tuesday night Death and Entertainment Tonight Live. That's a mouthful, but we got there. Yes. And then, we're thinking about maybe an extra show during the week where we recap smaller stories that aren't full episodes with a famous or non-famous guest.
Ooh, that sounds like something I would like to listen to.
Ooh, does it?
It does.
Then let's do it.
I'm there. I'm with you, baby.
Yeah, we'll fill you guys in on that one because that's coming down the pike, but it's coming very soon. So thank you so much for sticking with us. It's going to be a double dose of me and Alejandro for the rest of the way. And, stay on the ride with us. We love you.
We do indeed. And until next week,
don't go dying on us.
You have just heard
a true Hollywood
shocker. I have never seen anything like this before.
The movies, Broadway, music, television, all of it.
A place that manufactures nightmares.
Okay, everybody, that's a wrap.
Good night. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon.